decided I wanted to do something different. I had a few friends at work tell me that I needed to do video along with the podcast. So this is going to be my first attempt at it. It's going to be a quick one because it is pretty late in the day. But I wanted to get on here and talk about what I've been doing since the last episode when I discussed the winter groundwork series that I was going to do with my horses. And then also something that I started in my stalls that I think is worth talking about. So welcome back to Bulls and Barrels Company. Okay, so jumping right into it, I did get an email response from Jack pertaining to that webinar. If you guys remember last time, I did pose a question in the webinar and I didn't get, I wasn't chosen as one of the, hang on, I apparently can't do two things at once, but I wasn't my question wasn't chosen to be read loud in the webinar and answered. So I actually ended up just following up with an email back was, I absolutely loved your webinar. I was this close to going into the winter training thinking that 10 to 15 minute sessions would be enough. I did submit a question during the webinar and I was hoping you might be able to give me a little more guidance. I have two horses. One had minimal riding this season and the other had none. So my goal is to spend the next 18 weeks getting them both back into solid fitness. In the webinar, you talked about rotating cardio, stability days, strength days, and aerobic days. If a horse is starting from basically no fitness, so 12 plus weeks off, would it make sense to spend the first 2 to 3 weeks focusing only on core and stability work, then gradually add strength training for another 2 to 3 weeks, and then begin incorporating the aerobic sessions? And lastly, how many days per week would you consider a well-rounded training schedule at that stage? I'm in upstate New York, so once winter storms start rolling in, I want to make sure I have a solid, realistic routine for them and for myself. Thank you again for such a fantastic webinar. It was a great experience, and I will definitely be keeping an eye out for future ones, which I definitely will. So her response to that, find it again, was, hi, thanks for your email. Yes, the approach you described here, 2 to 3 weeks of core followed by strength, etc., is the way to go. And an ideal number of days per week to answer your question is 3 to 4. Cheers, Jack. So with that, I picked up that 33 groundwork exercises book that has all the workouts in it, and I did get the cavesson. And so believe that this week was actually my first week getting back into it because I was doing a lot of planning. And that, again, I think I mentioned this in a podcast or an episode earlier, that I tend to get so wrapped up in details and planning everything out that sometimes it just takes me forever to get going. But I'm a type of person where I need to have a plan going into it. I need to know exactly what I'm doing it, what days I'm doing it, because if I don't have that, I'll tend to just not do it. So that first week since that podcast episode dropped where I was explaining and going over all of this information, I ordered that book. Obviously, that took a little bit of time to get here. And then Black Friday hit, and I decided to buy one of her programs off of her website. And it was her core routines or her core foundational exercises that she does, or her core program. I'm going to pull that up for you guys here if my internet wants to work, which it doesn't seem to be doing, which is great. So I did the 30-day core fitness routine, and she had a Black Friday deal. So that's why I ultimately did this. But I decided to do it because it says that this course is designed as a low-impact, walk-based training program, making it perfect for times when your schedule is limited or when you and your horse need a gentler approach to fitness. It incorporates both riding and groundwork, providing a well-rounded way to improve strength, balance, and coordination. However, For those who prefer or require an alternative, all exercises can be modified to be performed solely in hand, ensuring accessibility for every horse and rider combination. So whether you're easing back into riding, working with a young, or rehabbing a horse, or simply looking for effective yet manageable exercises, this program offers a flexible and practical solution. And so I did end up enrolling in this course, and it's a 3-week course, and it's so this week was my first week doing it, and it is very simple. So you're looking at about 35, 40 minutes total of work, because you have like a warm-up calisthenic work, then it's a 25-minute block of a walking routine, and then I do stretches at the end. And I will say the first night working both of my courses, they were grunting a lot, and it doesn't seem like it was a lot of work, but they definitely were getting, and they were done. By the time that 25-minute timer went off, they were like, okay, I'm good to go. So we closed out this week. I was able to do every night except last night. We ended up having a very cold, blistery day. I think it was like 17 degrees out with wind. And the lows last night hit like 1 degree. So I decided to take last night off because, again, I do not have a indoor riding facility. So I'm outside in the elements, and I felt like that was best for not only myself and for them. So I decided to give them last night off. But today, after I get done filming this podcast episode, I'm going to go out and make sure I get them both done, because tonight I am going to an NFR watch party at my friend Patty's house. So I'm very excited about that, because tonight is round 2. And last night's round was, I felt it was very like everybody, like it's always those first rounds going out, horses are trying to figure out the ground, a lot of down barrels, and I'm just really excited for this year. I'm rooting for my all-time favorite has always been Lisa Lockhart, but I've really followed Trisha Aldridge's journey this year, so I'm really really looking forward to seeing how she does this year. So as far as how I made out this week, I did get I think I started the program, I believe, on Saturday. I started, and I got both Blue and Rizzo a session in. And then Sunday was just Rizzo, and then Monday was Blue, so on and so forth, just to make sure that I at least give each horse a minimum. The goal is 3 nights of work, and then on any day that I can get both of them in and get a bonus one, I will. And I'll be going into her week 2. And then after I think I get done with this 3-week course, I'm going to go ahead and work through that book that I bought. That it's got, I love, like, I super excited about this book. If you haven't gotten it yet, or if you're like just dabbling in it, this book has a lot of just, it starts out with groundwork, very light routines, and I want to say there's like 14 of them, and then it like increasingly gets harder. So it's like my plan after the 3 weeks is to start out with those ground workouts. And remember from my last episode, you shouldn't be doing the same thing every day. However, I know that this 3-week program, like each week you're doing the same thing over and over again, but this whole course, I believe, is just to wake up those postural muscles. You know, Blue has not been in work in a while. Like, that poor guy has a lot of atrophy going on, and I do feel really bad. So I think that's a perfect program for him, and getting Rizzo on the right track, I think, is a very smart move here. So but again, that book is called The 33 Strength and Fitness Workouts for Horses. And again, that's just she gives you really good background on why her programs work, because it's all backed by science. And then she gives you a whole block of each of the exercises. So really, you only have to buy this one book, which is nice. And then she gives you all of the routines and exactly how long you need to do it for, so that way you know what to expect. So so far, I really like. I'm enjoying it. It's getting me out walking around because those walking workouts you don't think are tasking until you're out there doing it for 25 minutes, and your horse is constantly doing some sort of a movement, stepping over something. I don't want to obviously give too much away because she's in the business of selling her routines, and I'm not in the business of sharing what those are, but. Um, I've been enjoying it this week. I've been putting my heated jacket on, and honestly, just walking has been keeping me pretty warm. So I'm feeling pretty motivated. Um, Hopefully, though, my discipline kicks in because I know that motivation is going to drop off real quick, especially since winter has arrived in full force between snowfall and the 1 degree temperatures, which this morning doing my chores and turnout was awful. It was a rude awakening. Just everything takes longer. Your hands are getting cold. Thankfully, I have a heat lamp out there on my like my water spigot. So I just go over there and I put my hands underneath the light to try to, and you can just see the steam rising off. I think I want to invest in heated gloves next because I do have heated socks and a heated jacket. I think now I just need the heated gloves in order to just, I'm such a fair weather girl. I have no idea why I still live here, but here we are. All right. So next thing I do want to jump into, and I actually wanted to start this episode with this, is I wanted to send out a huge shout out because obviously this officially has been the first week that Bulls and Burls has been live. And I have a few shout outs that I want to make to some people that have been here for my journey as, I'm trying to start my own business. And the first is my sister, Bree. I have to thank her because she was the very first order. I think it was, yep, on Black Friday. So thankful for her. And then my next order was from a good friend of mine, Ed. Thank you so much for your order. And then I thought that I was closing out my weekend with only 2 orders. And then my mother-in-law came in clutch with a massive order that I almost fell down. And I can't thank you enough because honestly, with all of my overhead, that order will probably keep my lights on as I try to figure this out. Next is a group of people between Monday and Tuesday. Paige, thank you so much for your support. You've been a huge support at work, cheering me on, and you've actually helped with a few of the designs. So thank you so much for your order. And then, of course, some former coworkers and boss, PY and JJ, thank you guys so much for your orders. These I'm looking at everything. There's a few orders that are on the way and then a couple that are still in production because obviously I am a print on demand business as of right now. The goal is to someday grow this to where I can work with a manufacturer and really have personalized stuff, but we all have to start somewheres. And it's been fun. Like it's slow, and as Dustin and I talked about in the last episode, I do get down and out pretty easily. So I'm gonna keep at it. I think I'll hit my big break soon, maybe after the holidays. And I'm also working on some new drops for you guys, so stay tuned for that. And now I want to move into what I started doing in my stalls because something happened. I've been bedding my stalls the same way since 2022, since I brought the horses home. And then all of a sudden it just wasn't working anymore. I don't know what it was. I'm going to try to drop photos into the videos. I'm going to try to play with that so that I can probably show you what I'm talking about as far as what I was dealing with. So I use the Tractor Supply pine pellets, and I usually put 2 bags in at the start and then a little bit of maintenance, a bag here and there. And that was typically enough, like I said, since 2022. Then all of a sudden it got cold out and I started battling, just coming out to just completely, I had to shovel out stalls every single morning, and we're putting in a bag of pellets a day, depending on each stall. So it kind of seemed like between the lean-to, because I bed my lean-to down as well. Between 2 stalls and that lean-to, I was dumping a bag every single day, and it seemed like I was shoveling out an entire stall every single day. And it, to say the least, it was extremely frustrating because I really just don't understand how I went from everything being fine to burning through money trying to do this. So I ended up doing a lot of research on something called the deep litter system that I've never heard of before. And I saw a lot of conflicting, like some people think that it's kind of icky because the way that the deep litter system works is you put a really deep base layer down and you don't take out the pee spots. You're only picking poops, and then you have to leave at least a 2-layer of either straw or the pine flakes on top of that as like a protective layer. And I was a little nervous at the start of doing this because I didn't know if it would work with my horses, because the 2 youngest ones, the 2 Roni ponies, it seems like they're just doing somersaults all night. And I saw, again, conflicting things, that the deep litter system only works for those perfect ponies that poop in one spot and pee in one spot and life is good. And I use ChatGPT for a lot of things. So I ended up just sitting down with ChatGPT and talking with him. Him is, yep, I named him Liam. That is ChatGPT. So if I ever mention a Liam, that is who I'm talking about, is ChatGPT. But I had a whole conversation with Liam here about what this deep litter system is, what type of horses it works for. And ultimately, I decided that I wanted to try it because the shoveling out of stalls every single day and going through bags of bedding every single day was just, it was becoming too much. And so just for quick math, I was going through about $50 in without. My brother ended up starting to call me, and because I'm just starting out in this world, guys, I am working off of my cell phone on a pedestal across from me and my laptop. So apologies there. But anyways, to try to pick up where I left off, I was going through about, I would say, $50 a week in pine bedding. And with this new system, the upfront cost was a lot because you really have to invest in your base layer to actually make this work. So I ended up having to put 6 bags of the pine bedding on the bottom, and I ended up soaking those pine pellets, letting them really fluff up, and then I spread them out, and that's supposed to be my base layer. And then on top of that was the 2 inches of the pine flakes. And I want to say upfront costs on that, so everything all together, because I believe up here, pine pellets and the pine flakes, they're the same price, whether it's the 40-pound bag or the flakes. So I believe up front, I think 6, 12. So I bought 16 bags of the pine pellets, sorry. Trying to do 2 things at once. Again, we can't do this. It was about $110. And then I think I upfront costed 2 bags of the pine flakes per the 2 stalls. And then the lean-to, because I counted that as part of it. So again, that probably ran me, so that was an additional $41. So all in total, it was about $150 upfront costs to get all 3 stalls set up. And then after that, it was supposed to be just 1 bag of flakes a week per stall or area. And I've been staying pretty true to that. And so this week I've used 4 bags of the pine flakes, which again is still a lot cheaper than 6 bags of, or 6 or 7 bags of the pine, or the pine pellets. So this is going to run me about $27.56 a week. So again, I was not thrilled with how much bedding I was going through, because it was costing me a lot more money all of a sudden. And I figured give this a try. So like I said, upfront cost was about $150 to do, the 2 stalls and the lean-to. And then this week in maintenance, about 28 bucks for maintenance, which I am totally cool with that. And what I like most about this new system is because of that 4 to 6 inches of base layer that I have down, the stalls seem a lot more comfortable for the horse, a lot softer. And then with the additional 2 inches of the flakes on top, it gives it a nice clean look, because over time that base layer is getting that dark color, which I have to tell you guys, the initial week of setting this up, even Liam told me that I needed to just relax and trust the process and trust the system, because I'm the type of person that if I see darkness in the stall, it has to go, right? So this was a lot of like fighting my OCD in the stalls, because but I was like, I'm trusting the process. I invested in this. I want to see if it works. And I'm happy to say so. Miss Rizzo, her stall is actually holding up the best, because another thing that I did was I used to have corner stall grazers. So I throw the hay in there, and then there's little cubbies to put, minerals or salts, and then a little area to put the grain. And all of a sudden, she decided that she wanted to start pooping in her corner stall grazer. And that was getting really frustrating to have to shovel that out and clean it every day, because Bo also uses that stall. So it's unfair to him. And so I forgot, but a long time ago, I bought a hay pillow. So that only works if your horses aren't shod, which none of mine are. So I pulled that out of the basement and we threw that in one night. And it is a slow feeder. And that's, I think, also has contributed to her stall lasting the best with this new system, because it's not nearly as dirty as it was. Again, I'll try to insert pictures into the video so you guys can kind of see the befores and afters of what I'm working with here. But having that hay pillow in there, I think, is giving her entertainment throughout the night, and it's also slowing her rate of feeding down, which I've always been passionate about. But loading hay nets and feeding hay nets is not always the easiest when you're on a time constraint. But now a plug for Hay Pillow. I'll put their link in the description box, because I do believe in their products. They are, made in America, and they're very durable. I ended up buying a second one for Blue because he was still being quite the jerk in his stall. So I knew that I probably needed to slow his rate of feed down as well. So now I have an OG hay pillow, which is a little bit smaller and it's more of a fabric, but their new ones are a lot bigger. The mouth opens up a lot wider. It's easier to fill. You can put a lot more hay in it. They run, I think the standard pillar that I bought with 1-inch feed holes was like 77 bucks. I don't have a discount code for you guys, but if you're interested in going into the hay pillow, I will put that link in there for you guys to try, because I think between the deep litter system and those hay pillows, my stalls aren't gross and disgusting anymore. And I also think it's better for the horse. They're feeding in that head down position. It's slowing their rate of feeding down. So I really can't say enough about this new system that I set up. So, but anyways, guys, I know that was a quick one, but I want to make sure that I give myself time to figure out how to edit these videos for the future. You can probably see my dogs, they're starting to get antsy, so I don't want to press my luck with them. But I did want to show off here today. This is part of the Earn the Ride sweepstakes that's happening now through December 28th. So for every $5 that you guys spend in the store, you get an entry to win this beautiful tumbler with a replacement lid, because this one doesn't have the little slide thing. but I will make sure that I include that. And then this gorgeous hat, which I need one because it looks so good with that distressed look and that crisp earn the ride. And then of course our American faith flag on the side. And then last, guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but I am wearing the hoodie that you can also win. And I tell everybody, like, this is my favorite hoodie, and it's not because it's mine. Like, Bella Canvas truly does make really high quality stuff. And this hoodie, the way that they designed the outer shell and the fleece on the inside, I've been honestly up until it was 1 degree out, I was just throwing a vest over this and I was warm outside. So it's fleece all in the inside, down the sleeves, in the little pocket in the hood. This is hands down my favorite hoodie and I wear it every day. And I should probably order one that's got a different design on it because, yeah. So get on over. I'll put the link to my online store in the description box. I appreciate you guys stopping by and give me a little bit of grace as I figure out how to edit this video and put it out on the YouTube. I guess the YouTube has podcasts now, so I'm going to try to venture into that world. So thank you guys so much for stopping by. And again, thank you for all the supporters out there. Not just the people that are buying from the store, but anybody who's listening to this podcast, liking or viewing anything on the socials, because I'm learning that in this world, I never understood why followership meant so much, but it really does as far as like how you get your reach. So I appreciate everybody who follows and likes the silly little reels that I got. I noticed this week, I'm starting to get some foreign interactions on my stuff, which at first I was like, oh my goodness, look at the reach I'm getting. But then one posted a comment and I had to translate it because it was in a foreign language, but essentially saying that my reels are mediocre and that I should hire him to make better reels for me. So the answer is no to that. I'm actually having a lot of fun with Canva. I know that everything does seem very clunky, and I want to try to keep with the authenticity. I don't, obviously, like, I'm not an influencer. I don't know what I'm doing. This might come out like complete garbage, but I'm just having fun with it. And, I'm going to try to keep this brand as authentic as I can. So again, guys, thank you guys for stopping by. And we will see you guys next week. And then is Erwin down there playing with a toy. So let's get out there and earn that ride today. I'll see you guys next time.